Hello everyone on YouTube, TheMainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing fine as always. My microphone has been acting up a little bit, I hope it doesn't do that. It might do so while I'm recording this video. If it does, please have some patience and bear with me. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties, I love my microphone. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about the current balancing of Tekken 7 and give some thoughts on the latest patch. And in my opinion, just to start this little video, I feel like the balancing right now is actually pretty decent. This is as balanced as Tekken has ever been, in my opinion. And right now, I kind of accept it. I don't find anyone to be overbearingly annoying. But if I want to nitpick a little bit, I feel the most important thing they could do right now is make sure the top 10, this is the top 10 in my opinion, that they come down. What you have to do right now, on the last patch we saw some buffing of mid-tiers and low tiers. And that's great. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing that. I love these guys getting some love. And they could, very well buff our other characters here we have down here. But the most important thing right now is toning down the top 10. Because the top 10 is one step above everyone else. All the characters that come after these guys, there's a clear distinction between the characters you have in this list and the characters that are below. All of these characters have unique traits that are ridiculous in many different ways. So that would be my wish list going forward with Tekken if we get a Season 5 or if they do additional balance patches. Do something about all of these characters. And we can talk a little bit about all of them. And this is in no particular order. I just threw up the top 10. I threw it up like this. I didn't place them in an order of best to weakest. Actually, if I had to pick the worst offenders on this list, I'd probably have Julia, Geese, Akuma, Devil Jin is pretty ridiculous, albeit, in super skilled hands. Zafina is absolutely ridiculous. Paul would be towards the end of this list, and so would Steve. Yeah, just a quick redistribution could look something like this. Julia still has absolutely batshit crazy juggles and damage, wall combo, absolutely ridiculous tools like Party Crasher, her wall bounce, her hell sweep is ridiculous, her mix-ups are ridiculous, absolutely insane frames, ridiculous character. Fakuram, even though they've nerfed him quite a bit, still has ridiculous stuff, and he's so easy, he's so brain dead. His damage is still so great. His range, his backdash. I mean, he's pretty damn perfect. Geese is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, do I even have to say anything? His damage, frames, his meter stuff, his poking, sidestep 3. Great counter it game. I feel like sidestep 3 just has to be nerfed again. It's too good, in my opinion. Devil Jin, very difficult, but just one step above the other Mishimas. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I don't know why they buffed him, to be honest. Zafina, Tekken 5 movement in Tekken 7. Absolutely ridiculous movement, has great buttons as well. It never feels fair playing against Zafina, looking at her movement. Akuma, super difficult to play, but again, if you do master the execution, it's a little bit of a joke. The damage, the punishment, the mix-ups, especially at the wall. His 50-50 is ridiculous. They could still tone him down a bit. Leroy is still a joke. And this is testament to the Bandai Namco balancing team and their work on Leroy, that after... how many nerfs in total now since he was dropped? 100 individual nerfs? It's north of 50. It's 50 to 70 maybe nerfs. And he's still insanely good. I mean, yeah, it's just good job. Super easy, super all-round. Him and Fakumram have the most amount of Tekken God Primes by a multitude of 2, I think, above any other character. So easy, so strong. Marduk is a bit flawed, but absolutely ridiculous in terms of damage. And why oh why did they give him that 12-frame Punisher? He did not need it. Steve has been nerfed, obviously. No more homing on Down for 2. But anyone who is genuine and honest about this character is not going to put him here, in my opinion. Anyone who's honest. I mean, just for reference, again, Knee, Season 3. Steve is dead. And then it turned out he was still top 5. And then again you hear, Steve is dead? Is he really? And then you have Paul, who is arguably the most flawed on this list, but still unfair, in my opinion. So safe, so damaging, very all-round. You know, they nerfed the Rage Art Council, but it's still pretty stupid in conjunction with that Down for 2 and every other safe launcher he has. So that's my opinion. I feel like these characters should all get a slap on the wrist. And if you do that, you have a way more balanced game. And you won't see these characters over and over in tournaments. That's my genuine opinion on, and take on this. And then I just want to talk a little bit about... it's not like the tier list has changed a lot, but people want me to give thoughts on what has happened to these characters. Eddie was buffed, but I still feel he remains arguably the weakest character in the game. I think the biggest buff was Relax 4 being a counter hit launcher now. I think that's decent. That's good. And 4-2-3 getting plus 10. But I still think he's the weakest character in the game. Armor King, certain people put him here, some people put him here. He's received quality buffs, and I feel you could put him in C and B. I think he's a pretty solid mid tier, but he's still very, very flawed. King is the stronger character out of the Kings, definitely. It's like King's back 1, Armor King's back 1 recovers very slowly on whiff, putting him at great risk. And forward neutral 2, certainly it's way better now, but it's still so slow. It's still so slow, and his mids are still a bit clunky. And throws are still easy to break. So again, he has problems with the new Tekken 7 system, where throws... movement is weaker and throws are easier to break. And King was just given way more tools to compensate for the easier throw breaks. You know, King for Tekken 7 Vanilla, he received so many buffs and then just kept getting buffs with every season. Armor King was just left behind, unfortunately. But they've given him a lot of love lately, but he's still behind King, for sure. And then Heihachi, pretty solid mid-tier, but still very flawed, still has, you know, very, very bad lows. You know, has to utilize great timing to try and open up the opponent with counter hits and all of that, but he just doesn't have the lows. As soon as you play in competitive play, you know, throwing a hell sweep is risky and down back 2 is reactable. And even if you get that hell sweep on hit, you know, it's +8, what, 15 damage? It's... And you don't really have a throw game. But, you know, the improved jab range, the improved down forward 1 range, that's really great stuff. But it still remains, you know... And it's like, I don't want these characters to be super good. I love that they're mid-tier or mid-low tier. I like that. Why does every character have to be, you know, very competitive? That's just, you know, more respect to people who take those guys to tournaments. You know, respect those players. I mean, this is arguably the hardest character in the game. If he's not the hardest, he's top 2 hardest. And he's not very strong. It's like Heihachi players deserve a shit ton of respect for the effort they put down. Dragunov is easily the character that was received the most amount of love this patch. And it's all due to down 2 again, forcing crouch. It shuts down so many options for the opponent. They used to have their entire move list to their disposal. And they could sidestep both directions. Now it's like, forget about it. You can sidestep to one direction. And you only have while standing moves. Unless you do a crouch cancel very quickly. And that eats up like 2 frames. So it's like easily the biggest buff. One of Dragunov's, you know, if not his most important attack, it's like top 2, down 2. So that's probably his most important attack. So it's just a huge buff. And this means Dragunov is very solid again. Maybe you could put him in A, in top 20. But the problem is the top 10 is just, they are 1 step ahead. Dragunov just doesn't have, still has problems with people stepping him. I mean, okay, the down 2 fixes that to a little bit. But still doesn't have the amazing counter it game that we take for granted with the S tiers. Doesn't have that amazing counter it game. While running 2, very steppable still. So yeah, just a bit flawed. A character that didn't used to be flawed. I mean, in Season 1, he was super good. But the problem is, you know, then we had characters released, like Julia, Geese. Oh, here's Leroy. Here's Fakum Ram. Here's Zafina. And suddenly it's like, those characters are just so fucking DLC'd. They're so steroid DLC'd that a Season 1 top tier like Dragunov suddenly feels antiquated. It's like he's from the past. Because we've got these new characters now. Geese and Julia and Zafina that just do shit that we could only dream of before. And we're still waiting for them to come down. So right now with the balancing, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with it. But what Bandai Namco have to do is take those top 10 characters I have here at the top, give them all a slap on the wrist yet again. Bam. And Julia so far is unslapped. She's just unslapped. Take them down, and wow, this game is going to be way more diverse in competitive play. And you're going to inspire way more people to be character loyalists rather than which one of the top 10 am I gonna play? Because that's what Tekken 7 is right now in competitive play, I feel. To a very high degree. Not everyone does that, but to a high degree, that's what it is. So, okay, thanks for listening to me. I hope that made sense, and have a nice day, everyone.